Okay, now I'm at the putty process, and a lot of other modders use things like milliput, and I even saw someone say something about mixing kind of a plaster of Paris together, but I found something that works really well. A lot of modders also won't tell their secrets, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm using. To fill in the cracks, I have JB Weld. And if you mix the two different chemicals together, the hardener and the steel, it makes something that's very, very tough to pull apart and is sandable, so that you can fill in the cracks and sand it down and still hold the bond. So you mix equal parts of this. Also, you add a black dye, and I got this black dye at a hobby store, and since the JB Weld comes out looking kind of gray when you mix it, the black dye darkens it up so that it doesn't shine through even after you paint it. I got one of these Tupperware lids to mix the paint with, or mix the putty with, and I use a large putty knife got at the hardware store, and to spread the putty in the cracks I use this X-Acto knife with the flat blade, and it works really well. So I'm going to mix together equal parts of the JB Weld steel and hardener. And if you use the JB Weld that doesn't cure for about 4 hours, that works the best. There's one that cures in like 15-20 minutes, and there's this one that cures in this one that starts to harden in 15 minutes. This one starts to harden in about 4 hours, and then it completely cures after about 12 hours. So as you can see, the hardener is white and the steel is black. And again, I want to get equal parts. I'm going to even it out a little more here. And then I add some black dye, and all you need is a couple of drops, like so, and then you mix it all together and use a putty knife. Yeah, constantly folding it into itself. What's great about this Tupperware lid is I can use it, scrape the excess off. It's got an edge. scrape off the excess and remix it back in. As you can see, without the dye, it would be pretty gray. That black dye really helps darken it up. And you want to, since you're using very little in all of the cracks, I'm going to make sure I scrape every little bit off of the putty knife to use on the puzzle. And then you can clean the tools up later with the goof off and isopropyl alcohol. So, take my first pieces and I'm going to fill in the cracks. You want to keep these in groups so that your puzzle is easily put back together in the compartments it came out of. See, again, you fill in the cracks, press it in the cracks, cracks on the sides. And then you lightly conform it to the shape of the puzzle. And that will be easily sanded down. It's always best to get excess. Any excess can be sanded. Too little leaves a crack. Too much can be sanded down easily. Show you what it's like to put the putty in to a close-up. Work on one side at a time here. I use this, squeeze it into the cracks. And then I'm going to spread it across the surface evenly to hide the cracks, kind of like butter. You don't want to scrape it in first so that it fills the cracks. And then you want to slide it thick over the cracks so that it covers evenly. If you could see this, kind of smooth it over, just light. And you want to get inside the edges underneath and fill in some of the holes. So looks like this. Nice smooth edge. Nice even light graze across the top. That's how you do that. Just like that. I don't want to get any in the mechanism below, because I want to make sure that the ridges line up and it stays smooth down there. I don't want any extra thickness down inside of the mechanism. This is all going to be sanded down so that it's nice and smooth. Again, I'm going to squeeze it into the cracks. And then I'm going to have a nice, neat, smooth top. Slide across the top like you're buttering bread. And you don't worry that it's too thick, because you're always going to just sand it down. And you want to get the edges so that there isn't a dip in there. There's a dip like right near the edges, like here. If if you dab that, don't be afraid to put a bunch on that edge, because you're going to sand it down. There. There, see, like that. Squeeze it into the cracks. Squeeze it in the cracks, then smooth over the top. If there's any that sinks down in, leaves maybe like a little hole like this, just go ahead and fill it in with a bunch. And that's how you do it. See that? Then you put it off to the side, let it dry.